I love your attitude where you're just like, I don't know, man, like, make it sound bad. It's so
Yeah,
good.
well, that's what I want. Like, so many times I've asked Rory to play the exact same riff as me with one semitone down, and he's been like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." I'm like, "But it would sound so bad."
Welcome to the 114th episode of the Cast That Ends Creation. I'm your host, Chris Deering. This is the show where I interview bands and public figures from the mathcore adjacent communities. If you beautiful people in chat have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in. I'll try to read them aloud. If you like to subscribe for $5, you get access to interviews before they hit streaming services, as well as some exclusive emotes. You can also sub for free by attaching an Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. It's like taking $5 from Jeff Bezos' pocket and putting it into mine. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this in your car and have no idea what I'm talking about, the show is first shown live on Twitch. Join us every Sunday and Wednesday at twitch.tv/thecastthatenscreation for the live cast. With all that out of the way, let me introduce our guest today who dropped their new album, Quitter, back in October through Artifact Records. Welcome in, David of Tunic. How's it going?
Hi. Good. How are you? Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
I'm doing great, man. I'm so glad you're able to join us. So your first release was a split of the band called Conduct back in 2014. I assume that's when you guys got together?
Yeah. So Tunic has been sort of like an ongoing project. Tunic was really the first project that I like went to the store and bought a guitar because I was like, I'm gonna front a band because before I was playing bass. So Tunic sort of started in 2012, 2013, and sort of we did a split with Conduct, who are just friends of ours who really just pushed us to be more of just than a hobby band. So that's
I guess I got ahead of myself. You're the guitarist and vocalist, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Totally forgot to do the easy stuff there. So yeah, you guys got together in 2014 then, or were you all around before that?
20, a little bit before that, 2013, to be honest. But that's been a completely different lineup. Like that was Rory Ellis on bass, who just left and quit the band, and after the recording of Quitter, and then Sam Neill, who's the original drummer.
Okay.
So the three of us sort of did Tunic for quite some time, but didn't really take it very seriously or anything like that. We really didn't start touring like that hard and everything like that until about 4 or 5 years later after that. And also I also had to learn how to play guitar and stuff like that. I've never played guitar and sang at the same time or anything like that. So this is like
learning how to sing while you play guitar, not learning guitar, right? You already knew guitar.
And learning guitar. To be frank, I was a bassist always first. Like Tunic is the only band. Like Tunic's the only band I've ever played guitar in, and the only band I've ever written songs for. So.
So are you the person that got everything together then? Like you're like kind of the leader of the band, or?
Yeah.
So why did you decide to just like randomly pick up a guitar and start a band?
Oh, well, because I was playing bass in other people's bands, and I was kind of just like, I just wasn't really. I used to play in the band that was a precursor to Conduct, and I quit to play in this indie rock band that I was playing in. It was cool. Like I was a kid, like I was like 19 or something like that, and we were going to Germany like 3 or 4 times a year, which was cool, and playing some festivals up there, and then that band sort of just got to the point where I couldn't really, I just didn't feel well treated in the project that I was in anymore, and wanted to sort of make my own project and have it be more of like a community and a friendship based project than sort of just being like more or less a hired gun, and sort of just being like, it was just one of those things where I was just like, I know that I can run a band better than the ones that I'm in.
Okay. You wanted like something that was more your own instead of playing other people's music then.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess just picking up a guitar and seeing what noises come out is like pretty punk rock or whatever. So it's
exactly.
Pretty dope. It's pretty dope. So why'd you end up calling it Tunic? That's such an odd name. Like that's like a type of shirt, isn't it?
Yeah, like the most popular tunic in the world is Link's tunic, like from Ocarina of Time and stuff like that. You have the water tunic and the fire tunic. Tunic is a long shirt, but actually it is a Sonic Youth song.
Oh, okay.
From the album. Oh, don't botch this out. The album is it's either Dirty or Goo. It's one of the '90s ones. It's one of the 2 early '90s ones that were both on David Geffen there. And it's actually a song about Karen Carpenter's eating disorder, which actually has nothing really to do with why we called the band Tunic whatsoever. But I was looking at the back of my records one day looking for a short one-word band name, and Tunic was aesthetically pleasing and short, and no one else had it. And so that is how we ended up with that. And I've seen a couple of people be like, I thought you were going to be like a stoner rock band or a doom band. I'm like, no,
I kind of thought that too
sense.
when I heard when I heard the name. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that fuck, you're right. That makes way more sense. Sorry.
Oh man. So yeah, after that you dropped a bunch of little EPs and some singles and such, and you dropped your first album, Complexion, in 2019 through Self Sabotage Records. But things really seemed like it started picking up when you signed with Artifact Records and dropped a compilation of a lot of your material, Exhale. How did you get hooked up with Artifact Records?
That's a good question. My friend Jesse Matheson, who fronts the band Ken Mode, if you're familiar with them, they're on Seasons of Mist there, and they're just like a metallic-y noise rock band. They're from here, and Jesse and I met at a festival in Saskatoon like probably 6 or 7 years ago, and we played with them, and we sort of just stayed in touch. And then he's always sort of helped guide us in the band and everything like that. So then when it came to sort of shop Quitter around the second record there, Jesse's like, oh, I just started working with, because Jesse does some work with labels and stuff. He's like, oh, I just started doing some work with this label Artifact. I'll send the record there. And so Jesse sent the record to them, and then Jacek, who runs the label, and I jumped on a bunch of calls and sort of felt each other out and figured that was going to be something that we should give a shot. And it's been awesome. That was April of 2020, pretty much, when we inked that deal. So then we sat on it for a really long time, obviously, since it just came out in October. So.
Well, shit, man, that's awesome. Well, I mean, you did drop the compilation thing with them, Exhale.
Yeah. Exhaling came out in April. I'll say April, May. Sure, I don't know.
Well, it's awesome that you guys hooked up with them. They seem like they're a pretty decently sized label. Like, I hadn't heard of them before this, but seeing the bands that they dropped and stuff, like, looks like this is a pretty good sized label.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, Jeremy and Jacek are the two guys that run it, and it's like both their full-time jobs. So that's awesome. And you know, Tunic is a weird band that doesn't really fit on a ton of labels anyways, and so just sort of seeing that they had like grind bands like Cloud Rat, and then sort of like these more post-punky bands like Gold, and then like stuff like Actors and Callan Nicola and all this stuff. It just sort of showed that they have a variety of tastes. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll give it a whirl.
Right.
So,
it seems like you guys fit really well with them.
Yeah. It's like we sort of fit in between some of the stuff, and they've been awesome. I really can't say nicer things about how awesome they've been to work with. They're super dope people who have been very understandable and have worked tirelessly on this band, and I really appreciate them for that.
Well, now you're back with your sophomore album, Quitter. What's different this time around? Besides, I guess you lost a member for this, but besides that,
yeah. So Roy left right after. So like the last thing that Roy did was track Quitter. Like we wrote all these songs with him, but like it was like long and like. You know, Roy put in the longest 2 weeks imaginable. Like, it was like a year. Like, he's like, yo, like a year in advance. He was like, I'm going to do all these tours. I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm going to write this record with y'all. I'm going to record it. And then I'm going to be done. We're like, cool. That gives us tons of time to figure stuff out. And like, Rory and I are also best friends in real life. Like, I'm the best man at his wedding. Like, there's no bad blood. You know, like, it's like we were each other's first roommates when we were like 18, 19 years old. Like, you know, it's just been like
childhood sweethearts.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, we dropped out of university together, like, you know, all that good stuff. So Quitter, we made the same record. We made Quitter with Jace Lasik, who recorded Complexion, and I guess the biggest difference about Quitter is really, I feel like it's, besides we have a new drummer from one to the other, Dan Ungers, it's there. Dan is non-binary, he uses they, them Pronouns Dan. It was their first record, who played drums on it, and so that was awesome. It was the first record that Roy and I wrote with them on drums. And then I guess I quit pretty much every vice, hence the name of the record is like I quit alcohol, caffeine,
Okay.
a job, nicotine, alcohol, you name it. Like I quit pretty much everything in my life to sort of battle with some pretty like strong anxiety and depressive episodes that I've been having my entire life, and so I kind of just had to like quit everything and sort of build myself back up. So the record kind of really circles around, and then Rory also quitting the band, it all sort of circles that narrative. So it was actually the first recording session I've ever done sober. It's the first recording session I've ever like, you know, been fully present for. And it's also like, I also grew as a guitarist and felt more comfortable writing songs, and Tunic had a stronger identity. And, you know, so it was a very different experience to we sort of knew in what we were going to do, and we did it. And so it was really cool. It was like, instead of just being like, this is fun, like, you know, we were more business minded about it.
Yeah, that's interesting that's like where the name of the album comes from. I thought it was more like, I don't know, like quitting on life, kind of depressive type of thing, but it's really like starting like a new one, basically. It's like starting a new life.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. It also seems like you guys are more, I don't know, that y'all spent more time on the writing and stuff. Like it feels more put together. Mm-hmm. Like it flows better than your other releases and such. It really feels like y'all are like this is your sound now. Like you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're in a really interesting place in terms of music, because it's like Daughter's sound. I don't know if you're familiar with like mathcore and stuff, if you're gonna even know these bands I'm talking about, but yeah, so it's kind of like early Daughters. There's like the 31G bands in there, like Hot Nerds and some stuff like that. I'm not super into like noise rock though, so I'm sure there's a lot of influences on you that I'm not completely familiar with. What are some of your influences going into this?
Oh, you know, I actually take a lot of influences from things that aren't noise rock or math rock or whatever you want to call it. Like I take a lot of, I'll hear like a guitar part, or I hear like some sort of weird melody or something like that. I'm like, I want to do that. And I want to do that in Tunic. And it'll be from like an indie rock song or like a pop song or something. It'll be like a cool rhythm. And I'll be like, I want to recreate that rhythm.
So you're stealing rhythms.
Yeah, I'm stealing rhythms. I'm stealing rhythms, but the way is that since I have no real musical knowledge or any theory or anything like that, like this is Rory's joke all the time. Rory's like, it's a good thing you don't know anything about music, because if you did, you wouldn't write the songs that you write. So like,
dude, I feel like you and me are on the same level, man. I make my own music. That is exactly how I'm doing stuff too. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. So like, but you know, I obviously like, you know, like all the like Drive Like Jehu and Big Black and, you know, Shellac, like those Albini projects, and then, you know, the Jesus Lizard, and you know, I like Nets, obviously. I like the first, you know, In Utero is the best Nirvana record. I grew up listening to like indie rock, but then I also listened to like the Mars Volta and Hella and stuff like that too. Like, so I really
Hella's
kind
dope.
of like, so I only really sort of got into like heavier stuff like later on in life. So I guess like the biggest influences for Tunic are the 3 C's, as I call them. Condominium, which is this noisy hardcore band from Minneapolis that doesn't exist anymore. The Coneheads, which is like this egg punk band that plays like Devo-esque songs. And then Converge, obviously being, you know, such an important band to me as well.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Send me some like noise rock stuff, because it's really a genre that I really want to get into. It's kind of that I've been paying much attention to. But I gotta say, I love your album. Like, this is to me, it's so freaking good. This definitely cracks my top 10 for the year. Like, it's
awesome. Thank you.
It's like, I don't know, so raw and like full of energy. I don't know, I can't describe it. It's like filthy but beautiful at the same time. It's really it's wild, dude. Like I love this kind of stuff, man. This is the type of music that makes me want to write more music. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Thank you. That's yeah, you know, and like trying to find beauty in dissonance is something that like I do think about, because it is very dissonant music. But if there is like, we love to flourish in a little bit of prettiness here or there to sort of like make the record a little more interesting, and also to be like not so one-dimensional, because we all listen to all different types of music, you know, like, so it's just,
Right.
yeah.
That's the one thing that's been like hard for me. It's hard for me to say like what exactly your subgenre is. What do you think your subgenre is?
Oh, I always describe Tunic to strangers as being terrible, but
That's
and,
awesome.
and one time at a show in Iowa, we played like a matinee. Oh no, I'll save this for when we talk about worst show ever. But a woman, when I was smoking outside, I still smoked, and she didn't know I was around the corner. She's like, "Do you see that last band? That guy sounded like a bird dying." And so
You're like, thank you.
yeah, and so I'm like, oh, you know, I just tell people that like Tunic is like a noisy hardcore band that was just like, you know, I think the what I have on Instagram is like atonal feedback drenched filth or something like that. And it's kind of, you know.
So you
like
call yourself a hardcore band then?
Yeah, for the grand scheme of like, you know, hardcore kids would never accept that, especially here since they are so cliquey. But you know, like we're a punk band. At the end of the day, we play fast and we play hard. Like, I don't know, like, and we play short songs. Like, that's kind of hardcore. I don't know what's
well. How do you pitch yourself to like the late? How did you pitch yourself to like Artifact? Like you had to have said like a genre or something, right?
Yeah, I would have just said that we're a noisy hardcore band. Like,
okay,
you're a noise punk band, if you will. So
okay. Yeah. I knew noise would be in there somewhere. Wasn't sure like what else would go. I like that. I like noise punk. So how does the writing process work with you guys?
So typically I will make up a riff or two, and I'll pretend that they will be the verse and the chorus of the song, and I will bring it to my basement where I am sitting in right now with Daniel's drums and my guitars here, and I'll work on stuff a lot at home and sort of envision it. There's sort of two ways that we do it. One way is that I will sort of draft a bunch of stuff in my head and sort of put together a verse and a chorus and maybe a bridge idea, typically not. And then I'll show it to Dan, and Rory, and the three of us will sort of just jam it out, and we'll just jam it out for like the whole 2-3 hours that we're there. We'll just like sit on it and sort of, as dumb and sort of cliche as it sounds, we'll try and like listen to what the song wants us to do. Because so often
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense to me. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like so many people try and force things on a song. If I really want the song to be like this, it's like, yeah, but the song doesn't want that, and so I have to listen to it. And Dan they always have a like a beat pack, if you will. Like they're always going to the space and just writing weird drum beats and stuff like that. So it's like when I like come downstairs with like a handful of riffs, Dan will be like, okay, cool. And then they'll like try out the 6 or 7 beats that they have like recorded on their phone over top of it, something. I was like, oh, that one sounds really cool. And then Rory, especially for Quitter, Rory, like, you know, we have a whole nother record we didn't write with Rory, but for Quitter, Rory would pretty much just look at my hands and be like, I don't fucking know. And then he would just sort of like, Rory understands music theory. Rory's the best guitarist. Like, Rory plays in a live karaoke band that knows over 100 songs that he plays guitar in and stuff like that. Like, and so he's just such a great guitarist that he just like looked at what I was doing and I was like, make it sound more dissonant, make it sound more bad. And he'd be like, okay, I'll shift these frets. I'm like, cool, I don't know, whatever. So we mostly just jammed, to be honest, is that like I would come with 2 or 3 things and we just bang it out. And and you can tell pretty quick if it's going to work or not. There's been a lot of stuff I've brought to the table and Rory or Dan would just be like, this ain't it. Like, and I'd be like, oh, okay.
I love your attitude where you're just like, I don't know, man, like, you know, make it sound bad. It's so good.
Yeah, well, that's what I want. Like, so many times I've asked Rory to play the exact same riff as me with 1 semitone down, and he's been like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, but it would sound so bad. So.
This is so good, dude. So you write the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. seem to mostly be dealing with like mental issues and such. I love the passage from Apprehension, recluse for infinity and you're to blame, along with my lack of motivation and my fear. I snapped at strangers on the street in pure disgust. Aggressive peace covers me, covers me. So abrasive and filthy. I love these kind of lyrics that just go for the throat. You know what I mean? Not like weird metaphors and stuff like that. I mean, you do have like some metaphors and such, but like
Yep.
it's so just like fuck you kind of thing. You know what I mean? I snapped at strangers on the street in disgust. Like that's fucking sick, dude. What's going through your head when you're writing these things?
That like, it's so funny. I write all my lyrics like either at times of troublesome, obviously of heartbreak or of, just hard times or anything like that. And that stuff is sort of written post breakup. I guess like honestly, like 3.5, almost 4 years ago now, Jesus. And just being really unhappy and sort of being sort of blindsided by a woman I was dating, and that sort of being that, never being calm. So that's what the aggressive piece is, if you will, is sort of this feeling relaxed from my anxiety, and then having that sort of rug being pulled out for me, and the bleakness that comes with that. And so snapping at strangers was literally just, I worked, in a bar, so I dealt with a lot of customers and stuff like that. So I wasn't really putting up with a lot of fucking shit at that time in my life, and literally just.
So you did snap at strangers then?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like fuck people, especially at that time in my life. Like it's so like, yeah, I write all the lyrics, and they all sort of come from a place of fear, darkness, wherever, depression, anxiety. And then if I don't have enough lyrics, and I know that the recording session is coming up, I pretty much set 30 minutes a day for about 3 weeks before the recording session, and I just write down something, and because I have to force myself to do it. If I don't have enough from just naturally jotting down the idea, I have to sort of do it like how anyone would practice an instrument. I'm like, okay, 8:30 from 8:30 to 9 o'clock, I'm just gonna open up my notes pad and my phone and just see what comes out.
That's a really good exercise. Like people should probably be doing that, no matter what. I really like that.
That's just, everyone does it, like think about it. It's not like when you were a kid playing soccer or football or whatever, it's not like you just went game to game. Like you had practice and you had all these things that you like, and it's like art is no different than any of that stuff. You have to practice it. So.
Right. Well, I think you did a really good job, man. Like the lyrics are like
Thanks,
perfectly like dirty, and like I don't know, they go with the song so well. The song so well. It's awesome. So recording, I don't think I saw who helped you record it. So what was the recording process like?
Yeah, we recorded this in Winnipeg, which is where we live, with our friend Jace Lasik. Jace is awesome. I actually met Jace through my ex-girlfriend's band, who was like an indie rock band, and Jace is from Montreal. He plays in a band called the Besnard Lakes, which is kind of like a psychedelic indie rock band. So not any, like Jace recorded like Arcade Fire and like a lot of the like big Canadian indie rock stuff, and not really any sort of more rougher music. But I met Jace through my ex-girlfriend when she was recording with him, and the hang was just so good. Like for me, as being someone who's new at guitar and not feeling very confident as a songwriter, the vibe that Jace just gave off was pretty amazing. So I know I wanted to work with him because I just know that he would just make me feel comfortable. And the recording studio at the time was not something I was very comfortable in.
Right. So afraid like people would judge you like the way you're playing guitar and stuff like that. I get that.
Yeah, or just being like, you suck. And I'm like, I'm aware. Like, it doesn't help that you're telling me that. Yeah. And so we made the first record with Jason, and then we made Quitter with Jace again, just because we were happy with how Complexion came out. And so we brought Jason and did it again. But Jace, like, Jason's favorite band is Jive Like Jehu, and he loves Fugazi, and he loves all this. Like, he's, as he tells me all the time, he's like, I just got pigeonholed as like an indie rock guy. Like, I just got pigeonholed as record the glockenspiel and the violin guy. But like, he's like, I fucking love me an actual rock band. So it was cool. It's a very good hang. Jace is awesome. And then when I went to Montreal, he lives in Montreal, and I went there to mix the record with him. And so he lives about 40 minutes outside of Montreal with his wife Augie, and they have like an acre of land, I guess, and just chill out there, snowmobile, and then go to the studio to mix. It was awesome.
Nice, man. That's awesome, dude. So who did the artwork? We've actually should have it. Yeah, there we go. Got it up on the stream now. Who did the artwork for this?
Sam Neill, so our original drummer, has done all of our art.
Okay.
Ever. He's done every single piece of art except for one tour poster, which was done by my friend Renee Campbell, who is the partner of my friend Drew, who is the frontman of Blessed. And so when Tunic and Blessed did some tours together, Renee made a poster for that. But yeah, Sam Neill has done all of our artwork, all of our merch designs, everything. So he, he does everything, every image that you see for the band. He's been the one for it, and it's kind of been like, even after he quit, he's like, I'm still doing all the art. I'm like, yeah, I don't want anyone else to do it. So.
So forgive me if I'm wrong, but this is a guy standing with like a jacket and wearing some jeans and a mask on the back of his head, right?
Yes.
What's like the meaning behind this?
No, I don't know. That's a Sam question, to be honest. Sam's idea is that he listens to the record on repeat as he creates the art. And so for him, he sort of just always described it as like a visual representation of the record has always sort of been what he's going for. So this is when he made the quitter art. So I'm looking not at the camera because I'm looking at it right now because I too haven't looked at it in a long time. But yeah, so that's always sort of been, he's always worked in collage and Xerox style of stuff. And so I can't really tell you the exact.
Oh, this is a collage? I thought this was just like a photo.
It is a photo, but then a lot of the other stuff is collage from inside there, because he digs up a lot of stuff at the library, to be honest, as he finds like these old art books in the library and that aren't trademarked, and we'll splice up some stuff.
It just seems like such an odd, like random image. Like it's not like it's bad. It does somehow weirdly fit, but I thought there'd be like a reason, like some kind of deeper meaning behind it or whatever.
No, I know. I would love to tell you that it's a photo that my grandfather took, and I have no idea. It's just I just leave it to Sam. I trust Sam fully with the artistic vision of the project when it comes to the art.
You also did a couple of music videos. We're gonna be showing one here for Apprehension. Got it playing now. So Sam did this too then?
Sam did this with a guy from Greece. His name is Dimitri, and I will not attempt to say his last name because I will bastardize it, so my apologies, Dimitri. But yeah, so Sam got into animation, and so did Dimitri, and so they sort of collabed back and forth, sending it between Greece and Canada here. And it's a wild one. It's so an animated Tunic video is nothing that we've ever really done. We've always sort of done, like we talked, before this a little bit, Chris, like about everything's sort of been so like safe, focused, and in person on the green screen or spraying stuff in your eyes with disappointment and stuff. So having the animated video is kind of I described the video to someone as like a noise punk acid trip. It's sort of what the video is the vibe.
Yeah, it's actually my first time seeing this one. I didn't even know this one existed till we started this. But I've seen like some of your older ones and such, and everything is like in person. It is a very different vibe. This one's a very different vibe coming out. I really like these kinds of videos though. Like I don't know, I feel like you could do so much more with like animation like this than you can in like real with live actions. Oh
yeah, and it was awesome. All Dan and I had to do was take selfies of ourselves and then send it to Sam, and I was like, Sam and Dimitri just went at it. Yeah, like if Dimitri really pushed that over the finish line for us, it was awesome. So
does Sam have like do art for other bands and stuff, or is it just like yours? Is it like just a hobby of his? Or does he have a page you can shout out?
No, like I don't even have anything. Like he doesn't have a website. He took it down. Like
okay.
Like he does, like Sam plays in like a bullshit hardcore band now called Torture, which is like Thin Lizzy hardcore-esque like, you know, a lot of guitar harmonies and a lot. It's like, you know, it's just like a bunch of guys having a great time, and all the art is very ironic. And so he does all the art for that, but I don't think he'd even want me to talk about it. But here I am doing that. But no, yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing. He doesn't even have like an art page. Like if someone asks him, he'll do something. He does actually. You know what? He did some stuff for this band called Best. That was from here. But there's nothing. Nothing. It's not like he has like he used to have Samuel.org or something, and he doesn't have it anymore.
Okay. Well, shout out to Dan, right? That was his name.
Sam.
Sam
is the yeah.
Shout out to Sam.
Sam.
So we have a random question here we ask everybody. What do you put on your hot dogs?
What do I put on my hot dogs? So first of all, it's a veggie dog.
Okay. You're not the first person to tell me that. It's actually about 50-50. We'll come across a vegetarian.
I'm vegan. I've been vegan for like, I don't know, fucking almost 10 years, I guess now. Jesus
God
Christ.
damn.
Which kind of rocks now. It's a blessing and a curse being vegan now, because it rocks because everybody knows what it is and the food is everywhere, but it also means that like when I go to a store and there's vegan products available, people actually buy them and they're not scared of them anymore like they used to be.
Right. Imagine the food tastes a lot better now than it did back then.
It did, yeah, it does. But I just mean like before you could walk in and be like, here's the vegan food, and here's like, you go to a donut store, for example, like here's the vegan donuts, here's the non-vegan donuts, and all the non-vegan donuts are gone. It's like fucking 24 vegan donuts. I was like, hell fucking yeah. But now I walk in and it's like, oh yeah, we're out of the vegan stuff, and we sold them to a bunch of non-vegans. I'm like, fuck you. Anyways, you asked me what I put on my hot dogs. Okay, this is kind of a regional question of where I am in the United States. Because if I'm in, you know, because there's a Seattle dog, right? I don't know if you're familiar.
Not familiar with the Seattle dog.
Okay, Seattle dog is cream cheese, like deep fried onions.
Okay.
And sauerkraut.
Okay.
And to be honest, it fucking
I can get behind that. Like, I like that. I like the idea.
Yeah. But that's like, you know, I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and you know, for some reason I'm just vegan cream cheese here, but I just have memories of Rory and Dan both eating those. And but you know, I recently, and I hate to say this, over the pandemic, I've become a big fan of the condiment of mustard. It took me 30 years to get into mustard, and now I'm like Dijon, baseball, you name it. I love mustard now.
Dude, so I'm glad you saw the light, man.
Yeah, like, and I like dropped the ketchup. I dropped the ketchup, and I just went for fucking straight mustard, relish, some deep fried onions. That's what I'm putting on. That's what I'm. The final answer. Those three. That's what I'm putting on my dog.
Dude, that's a good choice, man. I find ketchup to be too sweet, so I'm totally down with you.
Thank you.
So you guys just recorded a new album, which is hilarious because it's like what 2 months after you dropped this one, and you haven't even done the release show yet, and you already recorded a new album.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah.
So do you have like a release date or whatever? Or I assume this is like a thing that the label has to okay first, or how's that all work?
Yeah, we had an option. So like the deal with Artifact was 2 records, and then they had the option to take the third one. So like Sailing and Quitter counted as the 2, and just recently we inked the deal for the option record. So they'll put it out. Thanks. Yeah. So it's I think Yasik just listened to it today for the first time because he emailed me being like, the SoundCloud link is broken. Where's my record? And I was like, oh, here it is. But yeah, so this honestly probably won't be till 2023. I realistically can't. I think we'll probably sit on it for a year, just because I kind of feel like we overservice the world with putting 2 records out in 1 year.
Yeah,
and maybe we should, you know, cool our jets for a little bit. We do have some other stuff. We're gonna record a single, and we're gonna make a record with another band and do the whole collab thing that I can't tell you who it is right now, but we're gonna do all that. So like, there's a bunch of other Tunic stuff, but yeah, this new record that we just made is just gonna sit.
So why did you like? I guess you didn't actually rush it. You probably had these ideas in your head, but like, why record so early then? Why not wait like a year and see if you still like the album in that form?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. But and so for the new record, for the third record that we just recorded, my friend Drew from the band Blessed, who I mentioned earlier, co-wrote and co-produced the songs for it. So Drew came and wrote the songs with Dan and I, and this is kind of it's a very different record. It sounds different. It still sounds like us, but it's a different engineer and different producer, and there's some new ideas on it. Third record, time to do something a little different, but still something in the same little house, But like we tracked Quitter in January of 2020, so it wasn't actually that,
Okay.
So we actually been working on this stuff for a long time, sort of in between the lockdowns and when we could get together. So I don't know why I decided to do it in December. I remember Drew being like, "You're a fucking idiot. We should have done this in February." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. We should have. Like, it's just way too much for me to take on." But Dan and I just sort of like, I don't know. It's always been the Tunic way to push way too hard. And if we couldn't go on tour, then we're gonna go on tour for a year. Then I was gonna put out 2 records and record one. So we did that, and that was the goal. So.
Shit, man. Alrighty. Like, I'm not complaining about getting some more music going. So 2 records in a year is all good. And actually, the first one's like more just like a re-release, right? So
yeah,
it really
yeah,
is like one new record. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exhaling had 3 new tracks on it that were actually B-sides from Quitter, like Fade Out and Valid, and Exhaling. The tracks themselves were all recorded with the Quitter sessions, and we've cut them from that record and put them as new tracks. But yeah, Self-Sabotage, the record that put out the label that put out Complexion, like it was a pretty like messy situation. They stopped paying their employees, and like the guy that was working our record, like pretty much like as we started the tour for Complexion, was like, "Yeah, this guy's not paying me anymore. I don't know what the fuck's going on. He's taking payment for your records but not shipping them and stuff like that." So we were like, "Oh fuck!" And so kind of when I approached Artifact, I was like, "Here's the deal. We have this record that this label fucked up. If you want to re-release it," and they're like, "Yeah, totally." So it's kind of like a way to take it out of someone who sucks hands and put it with someone who rocked. So just because we wanted it to, yeah. So
I'm glad you found like a good home then.
Yeah, thanks. Me too.
So you guys played a lot of shows. You were telling me it was like what 100 shows a year.
Yeah, we did in 2018 and 2019. I think 2018 was about 89 or 90, and then we did 112 in 2019.
That's freaking crazy, dude. So, what's the best show you played?
Oh gosh, best show I ever played. We opened for the band Mets. We have a couple of good shows. We opened for the band Mets in Winnipeg, and it was on my mom's birthday, so that was cool. It was my mom's 60th birthday, and it was the first time she ever came to see Tunic, so that was
nice.
And it was like,
did she like it at all, or was she just like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
No, she heard it, and it was her 60th birthday. She came to see Tunic on her birthday.
She's like, "You can't play guitar," and you're like, "I'm aware."
Yeah. There was there's like 300 people there. Pretty much my mom was like, "Oh, there's my son. Oh no, that's someone else in a little toucan has a carabiner on. Oh, there's my son. Oh no, that's another man in like skin tight black jeans." And like, it's like, "Oh, everyone here looks like my son." And I was just like, "Oh, there's my son on stage." And like, it was just one of those like, it was Dan's first show also, which was no pressure. Dan first show was a sold out Mets show, so that was really fun. That was cool because Chris from Mets is now kind of a buddy. I actually just saw him in Boston. We went to go see Mets in Boston. That was nice. Anytime we play in Austin, Texas is awesome. We have some really great friends there. We love playing at Beerland, RIP. That's awesome. We also played with another great show. I'm trying to think about. There's been a lot of really fantastic shows that this band has done. That Mets one was cool. When we did the Ken Mode album release show here, that was really fun. But then I think about tour, and we've just played like some real just like absolute ragers. Oh, every time we play Paris, it's sold out, which is really dumb. It's like the only place in the world where there's like 100 people that come see us in a 100-person club.
That's sick. So you've been to Europe multiple times then?
Yeah, we've been
twice. That's fucking sick, dude. That's so awesome.
So like the first time we played Paris, there was like 100 people there, and it was like 100 people there to see our band, and I was like, that's fucked up.
That's insane.
And that's really the only place that's ever happened. Like that and Austin have always kind of been like the two spots where it's been like, damn, there's like 80 to 100 people here to see Tunic play. I'm like, that's fucked up. Yeah, so both times we played Paris have both been highlights, I would say.
Is there like a scene for this in like your area, or is it more like you have to break out and you have to really tour?
Oh, we have to break out. There's really no one else. Like there's Ken Mode, but they're way more metal than we are. Like they play in drop B, and I play in standard. You know, like it's yeah. So we just have to get out, and also Winnipeg's not a big enough city for there to be like more than one of these bands. To be honest, like.
What about like the Canadian
okay, like,
scene in general?
No, Canadian scene is quite small, and it was quite. There was a bit of a boom, I guess 8 or 9 years ago, when everyone started to make bands like this, and I was the only one that was dumb enough to keep going with it, I guess.
So what's the worst show you played?
Oh, worst show I've ever played. I'm trying to think if there's been a handful. There was the Boss EP release show at the Goodwill in Winnipeg where I broke 10 strings on 2 different guitars.
God damn, dude.
And it was at the very end of a tour. Like it was the last show. Like we just did like a month.
Good. Thank God it was at the end then.
Yeah, but it was the album release, like hometown album release show.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And so we like didn't really make it through the set. I remember very clearly, just like I like had a little tantrum backstage and like got upset, and by tantrum I mean like my backup guitar, which was then like my Squier Telecaster I bought when I was like my first ever guitar, so I would have bought it when I was like 19, 20 or whatever. I put a big crack in it by being upset, and I had to shed a few tears because I was pretty disappointed.
Dude, I'd be upset too, man. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it kind of felt like, in retrospect now, it's pretty hilarious. I'm just like, whatever, it's just a fucking show. And we've played some just really brutal, awkward shows where people put us with. We played with a band that sounded like Korn in LA the first time we were there. There's just like a lot of like awkward.
I don't see the issue, man. That's a pretty good resemblance right there, dude. It sounds like you fit together.
So like, there's just always been someone's like, yeah, I can book you, and it's just like, like you play with like 4 indie rock bands where everyone has melodies and everyone plays at a decent volume, and you're like, well, fuck you. So, but I will say that the best thing that has happened to us at one of this is a combination best / worst show ever moment. We played a festival in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, where we opened for the band Cancer Bats, and some big burly metal dude came up to us after, and we were all smoking by the van after, by the car. We didn't have a van then. We were touring in Rory's parents' CRV, and this guy came up to us and was like, I thought y'all were the roadies, and then you turned out to be the band. Y'all nerds rock. And we're like, thank you. Like, like, and I was just all like, best show ever / worst comp. I don't know. So it's kind of like, we just played so many shows where things have gone wrong or my amp has broke. Oh, we played a show in Iowa where there was the wheel. This was a good one. We were on tour with the band Blessed, and we were playing in Iowa City, and we found out when we arrived that we were getting paid by the amount of money that people were putting in a bucket.
Okay.
And that were like tips for the band, and so the legendary
Wait, you got paid in
happened,
tips? They didn't pay you from the door or anything?
No, because it was a free show, and we just
gotcha.
Yeah. And so the way that Drew from Bless played before us that night, because we just traded back and forth, and Drew says, "There's like, it's just us. It's just Tunic in the bar watching them, and then like 3 people sitting at the bar." And Drew's like, "If you put $50 in this bucket right now, we will stop playing." And
you made like $400.
Yeah. And so no one obviously gave me the money, and I put in like a bottle cap or something as a joke. And so Drew's like, "Okay, I guess you want us to keep playing." And so and then we played, and I and I went to plug my guitar amp in, and I plugged it in. I turned it on, and it wouldn't turn on. I was like, oh my god, my guitar is broken. What happened? And Rory's like, oh, it's so weird. Your guitar amp is broken. That's super weird. Everyone's like, yeah, David, it's super weird. Your guitar amp is broken. And I was like, okay, so I'll just borrow someone else's amp. And so I did. And then we ended up pretty much just playing I pretty much just let Rory. Our friend Neil was on tour with us selling merch, but he also had played bass in the band before. So I just gave Neil the bass and put Rory on guitar, and we played a whole set of just me just doing vocals and just running around and trying to make the best out of a bad situation. But then we got into the car after the show, and Rory goes, when I was loading your amp in, it fell and it broke and a tube broke. I didn't want to tell you about it till after the show. And I told everybody, and everybody knew except for you. And I was like, what the fuck? And so, it didn't matter. And we got it fixed the next day. But it's just one of those things where it's just it's just one of those truly comical bad nights on tour where there's no one there. And you don't get paid anything. And you're like, whoa, are you proud of me now, Dad? That's what we always would say. You're like, look at me now, Dad. I'm playing to no one in Iowa. Are you proud of me now?
So what's the weirdest show you played?
Weirdest show we played.
I'm pretty sure the weirdest one I've heard is a band playing 4 kindergartners in a kindergarten. Had another band play for 5th graders in their school. I'm not sure why they were there, at the school. Another band playing in a gym around weights and such. So
we played. It's weird. It's weird, but it was cool. Well, these are two different shows in Europe. We played a legitimate squat in Cologne where everything was powered off of them stealing power from it was amazing. Everything was, they had their own bar. They're their own community. It had to be about probably half the size of a football field of this shanty town where all these people lived, and they didn't have jobs, and there was abandoned train cars, and everything was heated with fire, and all their electricity, there was a gas generator. They were stealing it from somewhere else, and they're like,
that's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah, but who's gonna want to go to a show in here?
That's
It's
true.
just these people, and so we played with this other band from Germany. All I remember, and no one came, obviously, and it was super weird, and it was very awkward, but they were all very nice people, and they loved to get us drunk. They gave us all this moonshine that I didn't drink my moonshine. I threw it into the fire. When I threw it into the fire, that fucking beast was it was comical. I was like, damn, that was got to be 80% pure alcohol.
And you threw it away.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, by that time of the night, I was ready to throw away a shot. But I remember all three of us on that tour, we stayed in an abandoned train car that had beds in it, and this was February, I should say, and the only way to heat it was with wood, with fire. And we were all very scared about getting bed bugs, and all very scared about we're essentially sleeping outside in February. And so we all slept fully clothed and with our hoods on, and every half an hour our alarm would go, so someone would put wood in the fire. And that was really awkward.
Dude, that's wild, man. That's such a weird situation.
And then the other one on that same tour, second last show of that tour, we played a former Nazi prison turned DIY punk club that the Germans gave to these punks started squatting in this former Nazi prison, and instead of kicking them out, they're like, yeah, here you go, turn this into a youth community based.
That's actually kind of sick, man. The punks can change the Nazi prison into
yeah,
really cool.
Yeah. And there's this huge mosaic when you walk in that says ACAB on it, it was super sick. And then the fucked up thing is that they left the top floor of the prison the same. They didn't they took us on a tour of they left it how they found it.
Dude, that's crazy.
And so then we played this fucking amazing show in the basement of this former Nazi prison, and then they started DJing Aqua and all these 90s like hits after, and all these kids like came to this essentially like a rave after the punk show, and the punk show was already popping. So like that was cool. That was like the coolest and weirdest show ever. We played this former Nazi prison in Germany, and it was just like total, like you have such a heavy weight being in there, and then you're just in this basement playing this fucking gig, and kids are losing their minds, and you're like, this is like, I'll give it to the Germans. The Germans are an incredible group of people. They rock. So
Dude, that's crazy, man. That might be the best one I've heard so far for weirdest.
yeah.
That was great. So you guys have vinyl CDs. You got a handful of shirts and long sleeves left. All of it at tunicband.bandcamp.com. Did you have any that you could show us, or?
Yeah, here's
Ooh.
the exhaling. I put the yellow vinyl in the back here so you can see.
Nice.
And I just got a boatload of these shipped to me from Artifact just the other day, because for all the touring that we'll be doing in the new year. And then here's
Nice.
the quitter man, and it's the blue. Let's see if I can do this just nicely. But it's a nice, gorgeous blue. And here, you can see your own face
I
in there. Check that out. So, and yeah, we got some shirts and we got some long sleeves, and we're just pressing a bunch of new quitter merch that like is more subtle and stuff like that. But
So, you got new designs coming.
Yeah, new designs. We also have hats. We got dad caps, because those are cool now.
Oh, nice.
And so we haven't announced any of this new merch yet. We were sort of just waiting for when we could actually go on tour again, but who the fuck knows when that's going to be. So.
Well, I was just about to ask you if you knew when that was going to be, but I guess you don't.
Well, we're doing South by in March, if we'll see, and then we're going to do something in April, something in May, and going to Europe in June. We just announced a festival in France.
I saw that. That's sick.
Yeah. So, which is cool. Like Thou is playing, and I Hate God and Godflesh, and so it'll be very cool. Ideally, I think 6 months from now, I think we'll be okay. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood here. So.
So to wrap things up, what's your album of the year?
My album of the year. Oh, I gotta look at my phone real quick. It's all. I've Seen All I Need to See. The latest album by The Body. It is absolutely my album of the year.
I still need to check that out. I'm actually writing that down because I will forget about it. The Body, right?
Yeah, it's truly a beautifully punishing record. Distortion like I've never heard before. It's actually, we went to Rhode Island to record with that, who recorded that record, because of how much I loved that record.
Oh shit! Okay.
But it doesn't sound like it's something I've been waiting for forever. And I've been looking for a band to make this beautiful, disgusting, blown out, minimalist record for a long time, and they did it, and it sounds amazing. And the production is incredible. I don't know, it's otherworldly. And I even on my Spotify Wrapped, the first 5 songs on my Spotify Wrapped are the first 5 songs on that record. So like I'm just like, okay, damn, true. Like it's such a bleak. It's like, what a bleak year for such a I listened to this bleak record on repeat. So it's my favorite. I've talked to any one of these. It came out in January, so it's been pretty like nothing has beat it since came out in January of this year. So
alrighty, I need to look into that then, man. So that's about all I had to talk about. Unless you had something else you wanted to bring up.
No, Chris, I feel great. This has been a total blast.
Hell yeah, man. Well, if you're looking for something the original that sounds dark and intense as hell, you need to check out Quitter, the new album from Tunic, which dropped through Artifact Records back in October. You're on Facebook, Bandcamp, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and all streaming platforms. Am I missing any kind of socials or anything?
No, watch out for that. TikTok, we're going to do it. We're going to go for it.
Are you really or nah?
Yeah, we're gonna go for it. We're gonna try.
You'll
see me. You'll see me. I'll be a little rock star. That's a little TikTok trend reference there for.
Dude, I got a TikTok for my music, man. It's actually pretty good, dude. I don't have a lot of followers, but I get a lot of views on the videos and stuff. So it's like pushing it out there. So it's dope, man.
That's all. Yeah, I see way too many. This will be my last comment. I see way too many people people that are 10 years older than me are like, I have to get Instagram, no way. And then people my age are like, we have to get TikTok, I don't think so. And I just don't want to age out, so I'll just be like, yeah, hello fellow youth, I'm on the TikTok here. So
dude, that's exactly what it is. That's great. As for me, join my channel, follow so you always know when I go live. You can also sub to get access to the interviews before they hit YouTube and other streaming services, as well as some exclusive emotes. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. YouTube folks, if you like the video, please drop a like, click the notification bell, don't forget to subscribe. It's a great way to support me for free. Check out my music, The Sound That Ends Creation, at thesoundthatenscreation.bandcamp.com. My new album, Boomers, Zoomers, Desperate Coomers, is out now. My next guest, I forgot to put, it was Neon Hiss. My next guest is Neon Hiss. Join us this Sunday, the 26th at 7 p.m. Central for the live cast. Thanks for being here. Hope you had a good time.
thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for watching and listening.